This is the Village of Peotone Board meeting for May 11th of 2015. We begin by rising to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Reichert? Mr. Hupkey?
Here.
Mr. Wicker? Mr. Hack?
Here.
Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Mr. Forsythe?
Here. Okay. Let the record show that we have a quorum present and we may conduct official business. First order of which is a review of the April 27, 2015 regular village board meeting minutes and approval or correction of those minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve them as presented, or if one of the trustees sees a reason to correct it, we'll make the correction. Motion. Second. Okay, motion by trustee Hack, seconded by trustee Hupkey to approve the April 27, 2015 Village of Peotone board minutes as presented. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes. Okay, motion carries and the minutes are officially adopted. Under accounts payable, trustees, you have in your packet the payroll for the pay period ending April 25th of 2015 in the amount of $41,571.47. You also have bills from the general fund totaling $31,787.55. Bills from the motor and fuel tax fund totaling $2,676.23, and bills from the water and sewer fund totaling $32,254.04. Grand total of the general fund, motor fuel tax, and water and sewer fund bills is $66,770.82. I will entertain a motion to pay the bills. Motion. Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Hack to pay the bills as presented. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes. Okay. Motion carries and the bills will be paid as noted in the accounts. We come to public comment and or questions about any non-agenda item. And Jane, you want to come forward?
Hello, I'm Jane Jones, representing the American Legion Auxiliary, and I would like to request permission for our group to do their annual poppy sales Saturday, May 23rd, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. around the village, as we traditionally have done. This is our biggest fundraiser, and all of the funds go right back to our veterans in our area, Beecher and Mantino, that we service.
Okay. And Jane and I had a conversation prior to the meeting that there was some confusion between members of the auxiliary about who was turning in the paperwork to get the special event permit.
I apologize that we're not on the agenda.
Well, the good news is we have something coming up and the change coming up in how we process special event permits, assuming that gets passed in the later part of the meeting, which would allow events like this to simply go administratively, turn in the paperwork, and get your approval there. And it would work in cases that are, you follow the normal rules and you don't need an exception. It'll only be the exceptions from here on out that come to the board, unless somebody wants to come in and kind of get some publicity for their event, which we'll always take during the comment times. So this is the poppy event that we have every year. So trustees, I will entertain a motion to approve the request pending approval and
submission of the application.
Right. Okay.
You can also motion it to be ratified for some reason if that didn't get approved. So we can ratify it next meeting. We can approve it now and ratify it next meeting. So
Right.
does it have to be two separate motions, or can that be either or?
For Christopher.
What we've done in the past is we've We've given approval pending ratification at the next meeting.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, either way, that way,
Yeah.
she doesn't have to come back.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Forsythe,
Second.
second by trustee Hupkey, to approve the request of the Legion Auxiliary to hold a Poppy Day next Saturday, May 23rd, from 8 until noon at all the usual locations. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
And Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, and I hope you collect a lot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a form I need to fill out?
Yeah, it's called a special event permit.
Okay, so I'll stop in and get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other person from the public? Margie, come on up.
I just have a comment in regards to the Poppy Day. I understand that Burkhart's was notified and they refused. Did you know?
Well, we have something else worked out.
Okay. With Burkhart's?
Yes.
Yes.
So they're going to give a donation?
They're going to be selling them for the entire week before, from the Monday to Monday of Memorial Day at each checkout lane.
So people can make donations. It's, I think they're trying to standardize some policies relative to how they do it. And
Yeah,
if you've been in Burkhart's and signed one of those little different things for Children's Network or one of the others, they're
Yeah,
going to do
I should have asked Jane first, but I just heard that
Yeah.
Burkhart's had said nobody is allowed. But I thought it was kind of weird because...
I think what they're trying to do is get away from having people out in front of the store. I'm just speculating.
No, I think that's what it was, but not for the veteran.
No.
That was my complaint.
I think
But that's
it's
what-
an alternate method to get the donations.
Right.
Okay.
But we don't want a hand donation, we'd like to hand them a poppy.
That's the checkout.
Right,
The
that's
checkout's
going to be at the checkout.
Something's happened this morning.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to reports of committees and officers. Chief's report. Chief?
Just quickly for the board members, I've got a little press release notifying the board that our officers have now been trained in to administer Narcan for the possible people that are affected by the opiate overdose that we all read about. So, the village board committed to it, and we got 3 trainers on the program, so now our bags of medical supplies has increased, and the effect is, that sometimes law enforcement is on the scene first before fire gets there. So just to let the board know that the bills you pay for the Narcan, it is being distributed. It just took a little time to get everybody trained and get the training program. So short press release of that. Reminding the board that Saturday, May 30th is the Blue Ribbon Walk nationwide in support of law enforcement and first responders, i.e. the fire guys in red. It's a 1-mile walk that's being advertised on the Vedette website and other places. It takes place between 12 and 1, and just trying to get support for all emergency responders. Next week is the Memorial Week between bear with me a minute, my calendar world, from Sunday till next Saturday. Friday is the flags will be at half-mast by decree of the president, and number 2 is Thursday we have the police memorial service for fallen comrades in Will County at the courthouse at high noon. I also have the blue ribbon for each of the board members and other parties involved. It's you put it on your TV antenna. It's recognition to the law enforcement that have done the ultimate sacrifice through their lives for the cause. I know that Chief Schreiber has a time that the fire departments are recognized, and we also want to keep track of that when it comes up so we can recognize the fallen. I do ask the scouts, since I've been waiting to get a hold of them, that we welcome if they would come out and support for us and help with their physical fitness. Just a mile walk. You guys are used to those 5-10 miles. You don't have to wear a backpack, but just let anybody that wants to come out and support the emergency responders. It's a 1 mile. It ends at the fire station. For obvious reasons, some people may need medical first aid, some may not. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and we start at the high school, right?
Yes.
I should clarify that, the church parking lot.
Church parking lot across from the fire station. We had a safety issue with Joliet Road that we wanted to make sure nobody was endangered because of the narrow road and traffic.
That's the starting gate like the Kentucky Derby.
I guess it is.
20-horse field they'll be running.
All right. Engineers report, any updates on anything, Troy?
I don't have anything to.
Okay. Old business, we have none. Moving on to new business, the adoption of the appropriations ordinance. George, you want to go through that?
Public hearing was held at 6:30 PM prior to the regular village board meeting. Attached to the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2015-16. The ordinance reflects the expenditures established in the FY 2015-16 working budget plus contingencies allowed by state law. Appropriations including contingencies are general fund, $3,849,045, water and sewer fund, $1,473,570, capital improvement fund, $204,425, vehicle service fund, $74,750, police pension fund, $362,375, total appropriations for all funds, $5,964,165. The appropriations ordinance is the legal document which establishes the maximum amount of money the village may spend. The ordinance must be adopted in the first quarter of the fiscal year and, once adopted, permits the local government to enter into new projects. The appropriation ordinance must be adopted prior to awarding bids for many of the construction projects scheduled for the year.
Okay. Trustees, I will entertain a motion to adopt the appropriation ordinance. That would be ordinance number 15-04, appropriation ordinance for April 2015 to March 31 of 2016.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Pack, to approve ordinance 15-04, the appropriation ordinance for April 2015 to March 31 of 2016. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, motion carries, and the appropriation ordinance is adopted. Moving on to the next item, we have as soon as I can put all the paperwork here, amendments to the special event amplifier permit. George, want to go through that?
At the last meeting, the board asked the village attorney to review the codes relative to special event permits and amplifier permits. The attorney was asked to prepare code amendments that would streamline the process for routine special events, allowing them to be processed at the staff level. Only permit requests outside the established parameters would be presented to the board. In the process of drafting the ordinance, it became clear a more structured definition of special event was necessary. Some events should remain at the board level while others may be handled administratively. This is a starting point. If we have additional comments and input, we can make those.
Okay.
Mr. Barley, you want to kind of give a summary of changes that you've got?
Yes, I would. In going through the ordinance, first I wanted to make sure we put it right into our code and actually put it in a logical place so it fit in with everything. But in taking a look at what we had, one of the things that I noticed was that there was really not a clear definition of a special event, if any. Yet, we know that we have them, and we know that they require a special event permit. So approaching it from that first initial point of view, I drafted a definition of special event and divided that into two, major and minor special events. Minor special events could be processed as long as the application shows it's in accord with the, standards of the ordinance administratively. Whereas major special events would still come to the board. The distinction is primarily this, that a major event would be one that would meet one or more of these criteria: attendance by a large number of people, conducted on more than one day, requiring closure of roads or blocks, requiring the issuance perhaps of multiple permits, and or the requirement for village services that would actually have to be delivered. So that would be a major special event as defined. A minor special event is one conducted on one day that requires no village services and no closure of village roads, streets, or village blocks. That's fairly restrictive. The board might want to liberalize it a little, but in looking at it, I wanted to, I guess, approach it on the first draft more of a conservative side. I noticed, too, in the drafting of the ordinance and going through our current ordinances, that it was, I believe, 2009 or 2008 when some of the ordinances were changed, actually dictating that these permits would come back to the board as a whole. Yeah, and I think, just wanted to point that out because, apparently at one point there was some thinking that, they should. I believe that kind of hit a balance here, trying to hit the balance on the major and a minor concept. Excluded from the term are block parties and anything that is conducted at a permanent facility dedicated for that purpose, which is obviously the Will County Fairgrounds. And block parties have always been treated separately in most ordinances, so I separated them out here and defined a block party and indicated that, the permit would be granted, again, administratively upon the approval of the chief of police, and assuming that there would be no unreasonable interference with restraint of traffic or anything like that. The chief would sign off on it, and the clerk could sign off on it. And the block party is essentially defined as an event where members of a single neighborhood congregate, together for the purposes of what we typically know as a block party. So that's kind of the way the ordinance is set up. Obviously, you have to have a permit. There's a provision in there that says that the permit is supposed to be submitted to the clerk at least 14 days before the event, which seems reasonable. I know that on some occasions, I toyed with the idea of putting in 14 days, but the clerk could waive it to a shorter period if it was necessary, and that might be something we want to do. As we know, sometimes people forget to get in early, and we certainly don't want to be denying good activities. So that might be something we want to look at. The other reason for the time, in certain cases, you'll want the police chief to be reviewing these to make sure that everything's going to be okay. That could take a little bit of time. That's essentially the draft of the ordinance.
Okay. Trustee, do you have any questions or comments about it? I think this gets to the what we were discussing earlier in the public comments section about some of the things that happen every year, like the poppy sales and some of the other type things that don't require anything special, can just be taken care of administratively. And again, filing with the clerk would know to have the chief review things if it would potentially impact issues that would involve the police department.
The only concern I have is the 14 days again.
Yeah.
Because then we're kind of going back to our regular scheduled village meetings. We're not
Okay.
Giving them the option to do it, I don't know, 7 days or 14 days with your exemption, the clerk can waive that. That's the only language I would change.
Other trustees, it would seem, based upon the discussion we just had, that perhaps 7 days would be a reasonable
Okay.
for most things. So,
I have one question of Jim. Under 9509, it says, in addition to the penalties established by 95-100, the village board may amend, suspend, or revoke any license or permit. Does that exclude the police from suspending or revoking a permit? It's Saturday night,
No.
it's a special event, and it's something that's getting out of hand. Can they still say, okay, party's over?
Yes, they
It's warranted.
can. Yes, they can. They would be doing it under another
That's fine.
provision.
other authority.
As long as they
Other
retain that
authority,
authority.
Yeah, they would. This is somewhat of a, most of the time, by the time there is a question of revoking the special event permit, the special event has already occurred. So generally speaking, that the fine penalty is what comes into play. Put this in here in the event that we did have a special event that was on running, say for a week or something, and right away there started to be problems with it, and it could be stopped.
A 2 or 3 day event or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
But most of the time that doesn't, the opportunity isn't there because a special event is occurring and a problem happens and it's shut down, but it's gone before the village board gets to meet again.
Okay. I will entertain a motion with this change that the notice comes to the clerk 7 days instead of 14 to approve what's been presented to you. And it would be ordinance 15-05, modifying the application procedure and approval process for special events and amplifier permits. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by trustee Hupkey, to approve ordinance 15-05 with correction of 7 days instead of 14 for the application due date. Modifying the procedure and approval process for special events and amplifier permits. Please call the roll.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries and ordinance 15-05 is officially approved. Next item is the 2015 tree service contract.
This item was tabled from the last board meeting. As you'll recall, we advertised for bids for the 2015 tree service contract in Cornerstone Media. We had 2 companies pick up bid packets, AAA Tree Service and Arnold's Tree Service. Only AAA Tree Service submitted a bid. The weighted bid amount was $297.65. That's for bid evaluation purposes only and does not reflect the cost of completing any specific line item of work. At that point in time, I was asked to confirm just how widespread that bid notice was. I have confirmed with Cornerstone Media that the bid notice appeared in the editions for Peotone, Beecher, Crete, Monee, Mantino, and Grant Park. So it is, I know there was discussion of rebidding. You can either accept this bid with the knowledge of the expanded coverage, or if you want to rebid, and we can reject all bids and instruct me to rebid.
I would still like to see us reject the bids. I want something, a competitive bid. If we're gonna spend upwards of $50,000, I would like to see something to compare it to. You don't know if that second bid would come in at $30,000. That's $20,000 savings. It might come in at $60,000, then at least we know where we sit. I still would like to see us get another bid.
I would like to see the gentleman from Wilmington contacted and allow him to place a bid.
Okay.
The only concern I have with this is the precedent this sends for all future projects we have. If we bid out a project and we notify the towns through the papers, when we get one bid that comes in, we're gonna rebid every,
I would agree with you, but but in this case, we only have one bid. I mean, we don't know, just like Trustee Hack is saying, we don't know. So we need to have something somewhere, somebody else come in and give us another bid. And I just think this gentleman from Wilmington should be given the opportunity.
Okay. Anybody want to put it in the motion to reject all bids?
I'll make the motion, we reject all bids and
Rebid
re-advertise.
it?
Second.
Motion by trustee Hack and seconded by trustee Hupkey to reject all bids on the tree service contract and rebid it.
May I ask for clarification?
Yes.
At the last meeting, there was conversation about bidding in 2 newspapers. Do you want,
I would still like to see us go either the Joliet paper or something. I'm not knocking Cornerstone Media, but I think we need to hit a broader area. There's millions of tree companies out there, and the fact that we keep getting the same one.
And again, this is no knock against AAA.
No,
It's just
I
that
don't mean it that way, but I understand.
we need to have something to compare it to, at least one other bid from somebody.
Okay. So the motion is on the table. You got your point of clarification. Bid it in Joliet as well, like the Joliet newspaper, correct?
can we do that for all future bids then too? Yeah, we're running into this
Do we
problem
have to,
again.
do we have to establish?
Well, you have to
that?
bid, you have to publish here. in the-
Locally,
the
yeah,
local
of general
newspaper
distribution.
that's published here under the statute.
Right.
You can go as broad as you wish. Beyond that is perfectly okay.
So-
The only issue is going to be how much it costs. You may want to think about the price of all the ads. Yeah, that's all.
depending on the verbiage, it could be $200 or $300 of publication.
But if we can save 10,000, 200 to 300 is.
I was just giving you perspective.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to approve, or to reject all bids, and we've gotten some clarification on bid it again through what we're required to, and also add to that the Joliet newspaper. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, and all the bids are on the tree service contract are rejected, and therefore it will be rebid according to the discussion that we had. Next item on the agenda is authorization to purchase cyber insurance policy through the Illinois Municipal Insurance Cooperative. George, you want to take that?
This topic was tabled from the last meeting. The village attorney was asked to review the policy. That review is incomplete as he's waiting for additional information from the company representative, so we'll table this for the next meeting.
Okay, so that continues to be tabled until the next meeting. All right. Next item is a resolution. That would be declaring the results of the election. As soon as I find the sheet of paper. Okay, yeah. All right, this would be Resolution 15-R03, declaring the results of the election and the abstract votes in regard to the April 7, 2015 election. Do I have to read all of it?
No, just
Okay,
the,
this gets down to, here are section 5 of this. It's section 4, there are 534 ballots were requested and received as set forth in Exhibit A, which follows. And section 5, President and the Board of Trustees find that the following named persons received the number of votes set opposite their names for the following offices, and that such shall be its abstract votes for such election as required by law. For village trustee, 4-year terms, Jerome Wicker, 162, Peter March, 420, Michael R. Jones, 282, Stephen J. Cross, 428, Wade P. Callahan, 182. It is hereby determined and declared that Peter J. March has been elected as village trustee for the term of 4 years. Michael J. R. Jones has been elected as village trustee of Village of Peotone for a term of 4 years. Steve Cross has been elected as a village trustee for the village of Peotone for a full term of 4 years. This resolution shall be in force and in effect after its adoption and approval as provided by law. And so I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution R15-R03, declaring the results of the election and abstract of votes in regards to the April 7, 2015 election.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Hack. Okay. Just double checking what I heard. And clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes.
Mr. Callahan.
Yes.
And Mr. Forsythe.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Next item is hail and farewell. We have several people who are leaving us, some of whom are not here this evening, some of whom are. And I'm going to start by recognizing a person who is not a trustee, but has served since 1994. Kay Hoffman. Kay has spent 21 years on the Planning and Zoning Commission. She is a lifelong resident of the area and has served as a realtor, welcoming families and businesses to our area for decades. Her insights and suggestions have helped shape the policies and decisions of Planning and Zoning Commission, improving our community, and providing direction for future development. For this and so much more, we say thank you and would like to present you with the blue village pin. This certificate, come on over here. This certificate, the blue pin, and you're still working as here's your village pen. You can write in the dark now. And turn around, so let's take pictures.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, last time around you told me it's going to do another 4 years, but, I'm really ready to retire. So, thank you for all of this.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. And I would encourage any citizen and all the citizens to participate in their civic duty here and be a member of the committee.
Although he's not here this evening, trustee Rich Reichert began as a trustee 20 years ago in 1995. He also is a lifelong resident and has entertained the board with stories about growing up in Peotone. Before the meetings, we have really nice conversations sometimes. He has recently retired as a bailiff in the Will County Courthouse. Over the years, he has listened to many residents and has shared their concerns with the other trustees, helping the board to address many issues that were of concern to the residents. He has talked retirement for many years, but one of the things he said most recently is about spending more time with family. So we thank Rich Reichert, even though he's not here this evening, for sharing his concern for our residents and his service to our community. Also not here this evening is Jerry Wicker. Jerry Wicker began in 2001. That's 14 years as a village trustee. He is not a native Peotone resident. Like so many others, he grew up somewhere else, and he chose to live in Peotone and become involved in community activities. A Vietnam veteran, Jerry and Rich Reichert, who was also a veteran, would often share stories about military life with those of us on the board. As a former executive of the Pepsi-Cola Company, Jerry brought insights into the business procedures, labor relations, legal issues, and a little bit on Chicago politics that helped this board frame many conversations both in public and executive sessions. A very strong family man, Jerry was moved in his first year on the board by a young man who lived on the east side of Route 50, who talked to him about how difficult it was to cross through the traffic on Route 50 with his bike so he could play in the park. Jerry helped start the process of gaining a Safe Route to School grant to put up a stoplight. When I became village president 8 years after Jerry began his quest, along with the other board members, we began the long process of working through the bureaucracy of IDOT, Division 1, to get that stoplight installed. That should be happening, I believe, next year, finally. We're in the final stages of doing the engineering and bidding. And Jerry will be invited to cut that ribbon when that project is completed. For these reasons and countless instances of counsel and advice, we say to Jerry Wicker, thank you ever so much. Now, the junior member of the retiring firm, Wade Callahan, began as a village trustee 4 years ago. Wade grew up at Peotone, and like so many others in this community, I am proud to say he was one of my students when I taught at Peotone Junior High School. Of course, then again, I never thought he would run against me for village mayor twice. What I admire about him is that all 4 years that he has spent on the Board of Trustees, he has worked with the other members of the board, even though at sometimes he was the minority vote. A lawyer with a degree from Vanderbilt University, he often advocated for the rights of the underdog and always on behalf of lesser government is better government. He professionally presented his point of view and then joined the team even when he lost the vote. Integrity and ethics is something to admire in everyone, and especially lawyers. For this and more, we say thank you, Wade Callahan. You are a young man with a bright future ahead of you. So, well, we'll do this over here so we have a different background.
Where are you going, so I can get out of the way?
Yeah.
Here, am I out of the way here?
You be on that side, okay? You do that. Thank you. Any comments? No, fair one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, sometimes the words thank you don't seem adequate enough to describe the appreciation we have for folks who serve their community. Yet, in reality, it is the purest form of acknowledging the selfless contribution of someone's time and energy for the betterment of others. Tonight, we have paused to honor 4 individuals who've taken time from family and personal desires to serve the greater good of the community. On behalf of the citizens of Peotone, I say to each of them individually and as a group, thank you for your service to all of us in Peotone. With that, we're going to take a break, or should we adjourn before we take the break? I've got the order there, but
I think we should probably adjourn and then take the break.
Okay.
Come back.
So, I need a motion to adjourn sine die.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Callahan, seconded by trustee Hupkey to adjourn temporarily. This body is ended, another body will be instituted shortly. So, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Huff?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
We're adjourned temporarily. We have a little refreshments there, and for folks just to take a short break. You want me to sign this? Read the small print.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Switch them around.
I've been calling the same way for so long.
Okay. Yeah. We continue this part of the meeting by beginning with the roll call of the current board.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Cross. Here. Mr. Hack. Here. Mr. Forsythe.
Here.
Okay. Let the record show that we do have a quorum, and all of the new trustees, as well as all other trustees, are now present. We move on down the agenda to appointments. Trustees, you will find in your packet, there are two lists of appointments. One is the list of people serving on boards that somehow just got misplaced on me. Thank you. No, the boards. That one. The Planning and Zoning Commission, I'm reappointing Bill Mercer to a term that expires in 2019. I'm newly appointing Jim Patrikas to fill the spot that Kay Hoffman left with her retirement. That also expires in 2015, or 2019. To the Police Pension Board, David Rocket being reappointed to a 2-year term that expires in 2017. We had in the past used a president pro temp, and in talking to the attorney, there's been several issues of case law that have broadened the scope of what the president pro temp was. And we have in our ordinance basically the statement that says, during the temporary absence or disability of the village president, the Board of Trustees shall elect one of its members to act as president pro temp, who during the absence or disability of the president shall perform the duties pertaining to this office. In the past, we've mainly set the person up to be with the idea of they're an alternate presiding officer. And both of these can be decided by the board at the appropriate time. And so that's one of the reasons why I do not have a president pro temp that we may have had in the past. Treasurer pro temp is Roy Hupke, who continues in that position. Alternate check signator is Peter March. Jerry Wicker had been the person. Alternate signator is somebody who can sign checks when I'm not here in lieu of me. And we traditionally like to find somebody who is a resident in town and available during the day for those things to take place. Clerk pro temp is Kevin Hack. Okay. The committee appointments. On the Oversight Committee, we've had several vacancies. What I've done is I've moved the ranking trustee up to the chairperson job, or kept them in that position if they had it before. So Administrative Oversight, which deals with ordinance, finance, and personnel, Roy Hupke is chairing, Steve Cross, Peter March on that committee. Public Works Committee, Water and Sewer, that covers water, sewer, streets and alleys, trees, lighting, and other assorted things that would fall under Public Works. Chris Forsythe continues as chairman. Kevin Hack continues on that, and I'm adding Peter March. Police and Public Safety Committee, which also handles communications and WPAL and cable TV issues. Roy Hupke is moving up to chair. Chris Forsythe remains on the committee, and Mike Jones is being elected. On the Building Committee that reviews changes to the building code, Kevin Hack moves up to be the chairperson. Steve Cross and Mike Jones are added. And before I have the approval of these items, I need to point out that the 3 new board members, 3 new trustees, had asked for a meeting about a week ago, prior to the beginning of taking office. And at that meeting, we basically discussed, I answered questions relative to things concerning what's gone on with different issues in the board, and there was also a request that came out, and the reason I'm talking about it now is a request came out to create a new committee, and so that they would like to be on. And I thought it best to bring this before the board as a possible addition, not necessarily tonight, but for perhaps the addition at the next meeting. So,
I would love to
explain.
Sure,
Please do.
absolutely. You know, as we campaigned, you know, for office, one of our big talking points was community development, re-energizing the community, bringing back our sense of community. You know, I really feel we have lost that, you know, over the last several years. And talking with the residents throughout the community, we've gotten the same response from them. Talking with other members of other boards, talking with members of the school board, township boards, fire district board, even the park district board. You know, I've had conversations with several people, and they feel that we could definitely do better in communicating as a village to all of these other entities. And I also feel like we could do a lot better job working with other organizations that are actually already established in town. We need to bring everybody together and work together as a community, but somebody has to be the leader, and that leader really needs to be the village. And everybody else agrees with that. You know, they look to the village in that leadership role. What we would like to do is the three of us serve on a committee together. Now, I know with these other committees, there's a stipend, you know, given as you meet with a committee. We don't want a stipend for this committee. What we would like to be able to do is hold committee meetings posted in the appropriate manner in you know, recognition of the Open Meetings Act, posted agenda, public meetings, encourage the other trustees to attend, encourage the public to attend, invite other members of other organizations in town to attend. But what we'd like to do is work on really re-energizing this community. And I think the three of us feel very strongly about that, and we want to put in the hours and the work to do that. And, you know, we would bring any ideas that came out of this committee, of course, would come directly back to the board. The board would act on it. We would want input from other board members. As I said, we would encourage other board members to attend any committee meeting that we held. We want the ability to be able to communicate with each other, you know, like we've done over the last year. But once we're in these seats, we can no longer sit down as the three of us and have these conversations without it being an open meeting. And that's why we desperately want this committee, and we would like that committee appointed this evening. We feel the community has asked us to do this. You know, if you look at the abstract of vote, I think it was very clear that our message got out there, and we're willing to move forward with that. And we want to work with everybody sitting here. You know, I think it's very important that we work collectively together, but, you know, we're more than happy to put in the time at this committee, you know, without a stipend, and, you know, continue to bring ideas, you know, back to the board. And I think we had this conversation at the last meeting about committees as a whole. I think committees are extremely important. You know, I think any time you sit down as a committee, you're going to generate talking points. And maybe things that may not come up at a village board meeting. But, you know, when you sit in a meeting, you're trying to get through an agenda. As you sit with a committee, you have more opportunity to have open discussion with each other and also with your department heads. That's my request, our request.
Okay, you are asking for the creation of a community development committee whose focus is on developing a community identity or a community...
Correct, and just the community is getting the community involved as a whole, creating talking points for the board, creating events for the community. Just open discussion with everybody out there.
Okay. Other trustees? All right. You are asking that the three of you, that would be Steve, Peter, and Mike, constitute this committee.
Correct.
Do you see yourself as the chairperson?
If they would like me to be so, I would be happy to do so.
You're fine with me? It's fine. Okay.
Do you have a question, trustee?
Well, yeah, the question is, he just asked a quick question, do we have this appropriately on the agenda? I mean,
Oh,
that's a,
well, it was
I just
committee
looking-
appointments,
Right.
but it was not on the, well, the public
We have
really.
appointments,
Yeah.
yeah.
But isn't any committee an appointment by the village president with ratification by the board?
Correct.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So, I mean, I think we have, on the agenda, we have appointments. I think that's a pretty broad stroke.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
it's-
It is. The general rule, the Open Meetings Act has been, strengthened up a little bit in the last few years. And the issue is always that we have to think about is,
Sure, no.
is what's on the agenda sufficient to tell the public what we might do? It is true that, the committees are created by the mayor can create the committees. And obviously appointments would be appointments to committees, so I'm comfortable enough with it. I believe we're good enough. And in any case, this is something that, can be easily corrected to, in the sense if anybody felt that creating a committee should be specifically on the agenda, we could certainly do it at any point in time in the future.
Okay. That being said, any other comments? All right, there needs to be a motion to adopt all the appointments, both to the commissions and to the committees, as outlined, with the addition of the Community Development Committee, whose goal is to develop a sense of community, sponsor events, and network with other village entities, other organizations, I guess.
Entities and organizations.
So moved.
Second. It's moved by trustee March, seconded by trustee Jones to approve the appointments to the various committees and also to the planning and zoning, pension board, etc. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsyth?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries, and those become our official committees. And now, the scouts have been waiting patiently. Come on up to the microphone. I understand, gentlemen, we have a pancake breakfast coming up. You want to tell us about it?
We want to thank you for allowing us to come here tonight. My name is Michael Hunding. I am a Scout rank Boy Scout in Troop 315. This is Logan Mitchell. I am a Scout rank Boy Scout with Troop 315. This is
I am Richie Martz from Troop 315. I am the Scout rank.
Okay. Did you catch that? Because I know his voice is softer than the others. You got that?
No, I was going to ask if you could repeat it for me, the last one.
I am Richie. I am a Scout rank. Richie Martz with Troop 315.
Move to the microphone.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Is it Ricky or Mickey?
Richie.
Richie.
boy, see, I didn't hear it either.
The German.
And the last name, sir?
Martz.
Mertz. Okay, I think I have it.
I am Bobby Wilcox. I am first class Scout from Troop 315.
All right. And gentlemen, your request.
We're here today to ask permission from the board to canvass the town selling tickets to our pancake breakfast fundraiser. The pancake breakfast is one of our major fundraising events. We go on numerous campouts and special events throughout the year, and fundraisers like this one helps to keep the cost down for our moms and dads. We would like to canvass town selling tickets door to door next Monday evening, May 18th, from 6 o'clock p.m. until 8 p.m. The pancake breakfast will be held on Sunday, May 24th at the American Legion from 7 a.m. until 12 p.m. And the cost of the tickets is $6. Children under 5 are free. We are serving pancakes, fruit toppings, muffins, biscuits and sausage gravy, sausage, milk, and juice. Thank you.
Okay, and I will testify of having gone to many a Scout pancake breakfast. There's more food than most of us eat for breakfast every day, and it's all really good, so.
I make a motion, we
Everybody's jumping on that one. Who- okay.
Hack at it.
Kevin,
You have it?
yeah, okay. Trustee Hack, seconded by Trustee Hupkey, to grant the request to canvass the village for the pancake breakfast. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Unanimous. It passes. Congratulations, gentlemen, and remember, all of us are interested in purchasing some tickets, so make sure you see us, okay? Thank you. All right, next item, another special event permit application from St. Paul the Apostle Church for their annual procession.
Well, my name is Paula Prime, and I'm the Worship Commission Chair at St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church. We're asking permission to get some streets closed for our 6th annual Eucharistic procession on the Feast of Corpus Christi, June 7th, 2015. This is a collage of
Pictures from
past
previous-
year.
Yeah.
We would be leaving the church out of Conrad Street, walking to Crawford, going east on Crawford to 2 homes, returning back to Conrad and coming back to the church. It would last about an hour. And there is no rain date.
So moved to approve.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee March. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee March. And seconded by Trustee Cross to approve the request of St. Paul the Apostle for the Eucharistic procession on Sunday, June 7th. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Approved once again, thank you. That would be another one. I know, of course, they got closed.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right, request for sign variance, Greasy Cheek.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of Bill. He's actually had a small family emergency this evening, so I'm here to fill in for him.
Could we get your name for the record, please?
My name's Anthony Hoscheit.
Spell it.
Hoscheit, Hoscheit.
Thank you. I'd like to get into the record the right way. Okay. Tell us about your sign variance that you're asking.
Well, everyone's got a copy of it, basically. It's our rough draft of what we'd like to put on the front. I guess it would be the side of the building.
The sign that faces the railroad track.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's going to be 10 by 28. It will be laid on aluminum sheets and mounted to the front of the building. It's, we're trying to make it as rustic looking as possible, but still kind of our image. I really don't know what else to say about it, other than
I think I love the concept. Will it be this detailed too?
Yes.
As far as tools and everything?
Basically, it's going to be printed on vinyl sheets, and then it'll be laid on aluminum sheets and then mounted to the building on a frame. It'll be just as easily removed as it was installed. Nothing permanent, as you can say.
And the photograph, who's in the photograph?
Be honest with you, I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was family members. That's why I was trying to get a little.
The reason why we picked that particular photo is it kind of shows, family getting together, working out in the garage, having a good time. So.
I'll motion.
What, can I ask a question? Is there going to be any lighting on the sign?
Not on the sign directly. The sign won't light up.
Okay.
We're going to have maybe 2 or 3 shepherd hook lights over the front of it.
Okay.
Kind of make it look a little bit older.
Okay.
But that will be at a
So
later
to be
date.
able to be seen.
Exactly, but that's at a later date.
Second.
Okay, motion by Forsythe, seconded by Hupkey to approve the sign variance request of Greasy Cheek.
Can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
The little
bracket that hangs out from the front of yours?
Yes.
Are you taking that down?
Yes.
or- Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna get cleaned up as well. We actually, there used to be the sign that said Peotone Quick Lube there, and
Right.
when the previous owner, Jim, passed away, we gave it to his family to kind of as an heirloom thing, so.
Very good. Okay.
Just haven't gotten around to taking it down yet.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just have one procedural point. This normally takes an ordinance, but I didn't have enough information until today to draft an ordinance. So you could go ahead and give them the approval because you've already submitted your building permit, and then we'll adopt an ordinance at the next meeting if that
To make it-
satisfies
to codify it.
the board. Is I need certain information and I didn't have it until this afternoon. I just
Okay.
didn't have time.
So, noting that in the
You got what you
motion.
need done?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're giving approval to the idea.
Okay.
We'll go through and do the official ordinance at the next meeting.
10 feet by 28 feet
Yes,
on the wall, on the west wall,
yes, above the red awning.
above the red on.
And they can go ahead and proceed putting it up immediately?
Yeah, they've submitted a building permit. That's why I wanted to go ahead and get the approval and let them get going, so.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, as soon as their permit is processed.
Okay,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay, we got to call a roll.
We're ready.
Go ahead.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Looking forward to seeing that sign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, this happens every year. Our normal meeting comes up to, at the end of May, comes to be scheduled for the Monday that also turns out to be Memorial Day. We have the committee of the whole meeting and the regular board meeting, and in the past, we've simply moved it one day, which is what the usual rules are. So this is a double check. First of all, to formally move it, and secondly, to find out, are we going to have a quorum? Everybody, if it moves one day to the Tuesday after Memorial Day, does that present a problem to anybody?
No.
Okay,
In the future, can we,
just build it in,
well, or don't we have a schedule for the whole year? Can't we
and
just?
we will be doing that at an upcoming, we didn't do it yet for this year, did we?
We do that in January.
Oh, okay,
It is not a motion that comes before the board. It is a document that is prepared and given to everyone and posted and given to the newspapers. A
Okay.
list of all of our meetings with the next.
and I think
five.
the question that's being raised is, at that point in time, can we automatically adjust this one, because we have to, rather than doing it individually every year?
I think the village code says we meet the second and fourth Monday, so we have to
Okay.
change the code.
And in order to change that, you have
Okay.
to have a motion.
Well, how many times has this occurred during the year? Just Memorial Day?
Typically, every so often, another holiday pops up.
Sometimes Christmas.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And we
can't
do
we
it on-
look at a calendar and
But
say
Christmas,
these
Christmas
three?
we've actually canceled altogether.
Many times.
Right.
Yeah,
And not
typically,
rescheduled.
yeah.
Sometimes it's a function of what's happening at that point in time.
I mean, it's just a thought, at the beginning of the year, you can look at the calendar and say these meetings are going to conflict. Can't we just have one resolution that, or, changes all of them instead of wait until the week before? So we know when our meetings are going to be?
Sure.
Thought.
You want to call,
Have we decided, is it going to be
was it,
Tuesday?
did I get the motion?
Motion for Tuesday, the
Okay.
26th.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by trustee Forsythe, seconded by who? Trustee March.
And this is committee of the whole and village board meeting.
Yes, both. Okay, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries, we officially have moved that one day. Discussion of clearing snow from the downtown sidewalks. Do you want to go through and decide that today, or do you want to refer that to the committee? That's it.
I put together a program I'd like to go through very quickly, and we can make a decision or move it on to committee if that's acceptable, whatever everybody wants to do. Take about 2 minutes.
Sure.
What I've got here is a map of the downtown business district. And
I've met with the John Deere people and their expert a couple of times, and what it comes down to is there are 62 parcels, business parcels within this district, highlighted in yellow. Currently, there's 52 commercial addresses within that outline. Of the 52, 29 are currently occupied, 23 are vacant. That's a 44% vacancy rate. My feeling is that by blowing the snow off the sidewalk in this area, it would be a small benefit we can provide for existing businesses, and a small perk for anyone thinking about opening a business in one of these locations. And it's a great benefit for the people who live here and want to walk on a clean sidewalk to get to the funeral home or an attorney or an eye doctor or a bowling alley or anywhere else. I know this issue's been kicked around for about 2 years, and when I read the summary of the discussion and the parameters in the paper, it was just mind-boggling. So how about this? This map that I presented can be massaged a little bit, but it encompasses the business district. Every time we get an accumulation of 2 inches of snow, whether it's 2 1-inch snows or a 2-inch snow, clean it off. The cost of the equipment that we need that would be adequate and recommended for a new John Deere tractor, a snow blower, the weights, the correct tires, with village discounts and everything else, comes to $4,349. I'd recommend that this machine used exclusively for snow removal from November through April, and then cleaned up, covered up, and get it prepped for the next year. Life expectancy would be between 15 and 25 years. And if you break it down with a 15-year life expectancy, the cost of the equipment is $289 per year. I realize there's other costs. You gotta buy gasoline and you gotta have somebody driving it. But I have in the outline of where we're gonna do it, by having the 2-inch at one event or cumulatively, and at this kind of a cost, I think it's a real benefit to the business district and potential businesses coming in. With 62 parcels out there, and I know some of the things were kicked around with having individuals do it and this and that, that's gonna be like herding cats. I mean, you've got people that own the buildings that operate businesses, you've got people that operate the businesses that don't own the buildings, you've got absentee ownerships, you've got residential areas in there, some owned by some very elderly people who have, unless they hire it out. And then you got people making decision, well, I don't think it was quite 2 inches, or I think it was a little more, a little less, and all of this. Hey, the head of Public Works says we got 2 inches, fire the thing up, spend an hour and a half, blow this off and be done with it.
I think as we've talked numerous times before, it's got to be one of the two things. It's either the village has to step up and do it, or the village has to mandate to the building owners, or the business owners that they have to do it. I know that Trustee Callahan, last meeting, expressed, his opinion that, of course, less government is better government. I think this is cost-wise, as opposed to a larger piece of machinery, if we use it exclusively for this, I think that should be fairly doable. To me, it becomes a public safety issue, The last time, or the first time I came to the board over a year ago, I came to the board because people were walking down the streets in the downtown area because the sidewalks weren't cleared, or not all of the sidewalks were cleared. And that concerned me because somebody's gonna get ran over, It does come down to a lot of common sense stuff, like everything else. But this would be a way to answer the question and fix it.
How far do we go with this? Casey's, McDonald's, the Chinese restaurant.
This is strictly for the downtown business district.
But what happens if when they come in, they say, we want ours done too?
Because one of the issues with the downtown business district that we've talked about before, we don't have, the downtown businesses do not have any place to put the snow but the street, period. The sooner we get that snow in the street, the sooner it gets out of the downtown area, and also eliminates the potential problem of people climbing over the snow drifts to get to the sidewalk. It's the downtown district is unique. It's completely different than Casey's. It's completely different than McDonald's. They have parking lots. They plow their parking lots. They have places to push that snow. The downtown does not have a place to push that snow, except the street.
There's no
And that's what
parking.
makes this a unique problem that's been bandied around for over a year. And, you know, let's get it answered.
And there's no parking lots involved in this, it's strictly sidewalk.
I brought up the uniqueness, like Steve said, of the downtown, that there is no green space to put the snow, but one of my biggest concerns still is the manpower. I mean, we have 5 guys between the 2 departments that are snow plowing, and if it's an all-day snow and they're out there for 14, 15 hours, I hate to have to make them go clean sidewalks before they have to be back in a couple hours.
I
That-
think the
manpower
solution
my
is
big thing.
to hire
Yeah.
a retired.
And I've brought that up.
A
I've talked
retired
about-
person that works on call. It's gonna take an hour to 2 hours.
Or even a couple people. I mean,
Yeah.
you train a couple part-time people, say, hey, would you be willing to be on call for this position?
I don't think that would be a problem.
So you're not taking a guy out of the plow. You're
The
not-
other problem with the on-call, though, is you're at their mercy.
Well, that's why I said more than
Yeah.
one. I mean, if
So-
you gotta get a pool. If you get a pool or 2 or 3, then 98% of the time, you know, you're gonna have one of them. You just gotta find the right, you gotta find the right people. And I think,
And then on his, Mr. Jones, on the equipment, it's a thrower,
Snow thrower.
and where are we gonna throw this?
In the street.
Whatever, there's cars parked there. What about liabilities for a rock or something hitting cars or?
What's the liability now when you got a snowplow going down the street hitting a car, or a person, or a street light, or
well, and
anything?
trust
I
me,
mean,
but that would be, it would be much, much better to do it before or after the cars are off the street in the downtown area, because that would allow you to get the snow out. It may not be an immediate timely thing, I mean, and I think that's kind of an understood thing, but we've got to get it into the street, and then we got to get the plows down the street and get it out of there. So it's going to have to be a coordinated effort, you know, between those two functions. And it may not be, if it's snowing, you know, like the Dickens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it may be 10 o'clock at night, you know, before that completely gets removed. But it's not going to sit there for a week, 2 weeks, a month, you know.
I do like Trustee Jones's idea with the tractor. I do like that.
Yeah, but like I said, I think
But-
we would just have to develop that coordination, you know, with the personnel to get it into the street when the cars aren't parked there. I agree with that.
6 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. Because this is like, you know, I've never done it, but I'm gonna guess this is gonna be a 1 to 2 hour process. And so somebody starts at 5:30 and by 7 o'clock.
I'll defer to Kevin on this, because you've got a background in this.
Breakfast club.
Is that a reasonable estimate?
How big is the snow blower?
40,
44?
48?
44 inches, about the width of the sidewalk.
Which is fine for 2 weeks.
What's it on? What model tractor?
The 300 series.
Okay. What did it cost to retrofit ours? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I've got a number in my head, but I don't want to say
I
it out
thought it
loud.
was around there, but
Yeah.
And this would have a 4-year, 300-hour warranty.
And I actually like the idea better of having a new piece of equipment dedicated to the removal instead of adapting something to another piece of equipment that you're gonna be taking out of service just for the sidewalk. So I do like that idea better.
Equipment generally, if you got just a couple people running it and it's designated for a purpose, I think holds up better and lasts longer, and it's, the chances of being broken or misused are really narrowed down to nothing. It's probably not a perfect solution, but I think it's the best solution we can come up with at a very affordable price, and
We have the equipment down, but I just think, with the personnel, with the staffing, that's where the discussion needs to be a little bit more fine-tuned.
I know the school hires guys on call when they get snow, not the regular staff people, but they call them up and they're out there. They got 5 buildings, and that's how they handle a lot of the sidewalk and all that kind of stuff, at the big parking lots with the peripheral people.
I've suggested before that if we always budget for 2 part-time guys, and we have 1 guy here through the summer, and I almost wonder if we don't hire a guy through the winter, because the trying to put people on call, from my experience, every winter I go through this, if they get something better that comes along, they're gone. If it, there's numerous situations where they have every excuse in the book not to show up.
Hiring a part-time guy would be that would be the ultimate, the ultimate fix.
Kind of like our code enforcement guy, it's 20 hours in the summer, less in the winter.
The only thing I found that will keep them coming back is if you guarantee them some hours, whether they're washing trucks or cleaning the shop or something, almost like IDOT does with their snowbirds. But I almost think we'd have to go with a part-time guy rather than a contractor.
What's this do to our budget with the $200,000 possible hit?
That was my next question.
I think we need to evaluate that. Obviously, $4,300 is not $200,000. I'd have to see where we have to move some things around. And, I think the department heads need to be engaged in the conversation so that everybody understands totally what the program is and get feedback from everybody.
And maybe a dollar amount where we're going to pay the part-time employee and an estimated, it'd be only estimated, but based on the last 5-year snow totals, what we'll be looking at is paying that person to do that for that season.
Well, I think there are I'm understanding 2 scenarios here then. One is we just hire a part-time person and that person is available in the event of a snow.
Seasonal part-time.
Right. Yeah, seasonal part-time, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a winter part-time person who is guaranteed, can have an expectation of having 5 to 20 hours a week. We've got to be careful with IMRF and hitting the hour number, as opposed to purely on call, for some of the reasons that Trustee Hack has pointed out. It's sometimes difficult to keep those people.
Can I suggest that we refer this proposal to the Public Works Committee at the first meeting, June 10th? Hopefully, we don't have to worry about snow for
And you
a few
can bring
months.
staff will be there.
Right. And we talk.
That makes sense.
Maybe make them aware of this proposal and maybe get their mind going as far as.
We'll do that.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
If we could we have copies of the equipment that you're talking about, Trustee Jones?
Sure.
So that they can be looking at it?
So I've got a motion. Do we need a motion to refer it to committee? We can just refer it to committee, can we?
Yeah.
Okay, we're referring it to Public Works. Okay. The next item has to do with hiring a code enforcement advisor, and I think at this point, it probably, because we've advertised this position and we've have some potential candidates, it would be most effective to discuss this in executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or legal counsel for public body.
Okay. Is there a second? A motion by Trustee Cross, seconded by Trustee March, to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal.
Of employees.
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.